Welcome back. We're joined by Masood Akhtar, the president and founder of We Are Many United Against Hate, and kind of a movement that you started for, I'm sure, a lot of reasons, kind of to combat the anti-hate that's out here in the world. We talked a little bit earlier before we started the segment of we're seeing so many hate crimes lately. Yeah. So I guess my first question is, before you tell me a little bit about the movement, why?
The reason I started this movement right here at this place that you're interviewing me, that was late 2016. I received a phone call from Channel 27, this channel, that there is a discussion in the White House between Donald Trump and his policy advisors to start a Muslim registry. So since you are a part of the Muslim community here, very active in the community, we just want to know what your reaction is and what your Muslim community reaction is. And my response was very simple. This is highly un-American, unconstitutional, and divide the country based on religion. That's not what America is all about. I came to this country over 34 years ago. And I gave up my citizenship 20 years ago because of what this country offers. But then I said I like the idea of starting a registry that will unite people regardless of their ethnicity, color, or religion, or whatever, and actually bring people together to fight this hate that we are going to see moving forward over the next few years.
And you want to kind of establish this K through 12 anti-hate task force, kind of bring it to schools. You know, you wanted to maybe put it through the Department of Public Instruction, or you know Governor-elect Tony Evers very well. Wanted to ask, do you still want it to be created through DPI, or do you think it's something that you would like to see Governor-elect Evers implement?
So the reason I proposed this idea of starting a statewide K-12 anti-hate task force is based on what I have seen in the last few years. The hate crimes increased significantly, particularly when we organize events at different high schools. We see the number of those things are increasing significantly. So it is very important that a state should take a very strategic approach to learn about the causes of this hate crime and then put together a part of justification and reasoning behind that in terms of what really needs to be done, and then include that as a part of the curriculum moving forward, and then have appropriate representatives on that task force to put some policies, particularly engaging some youth from statewide. The reason I thought that an ideal department would be Department of Public Instructions, because it's a nonpartisan department. And nowadays it is very difficult to do things in a way that, is so much divided politics, Republicans on one side and the Democrats on the other side. Now, if, on the other hand, if Governor Tony Evers decides that he wants to start it at a different level, then obviously he has a justification to do that, because we strongly believe that hate is not a Republican issue, it's not a Democrat issue, it's a human issue. Lives are being lost, these innocent people. So he has a strong justification to do that. And I think I'm in the process of having those kinds of conversations with both Tony Evers and also the head of the Department of Public Instruction.
Your movement kind of came to a forefront last month when a prom photo from Baraboo High School actually drew national attention because students appear to be giving the Nazi salute in that photo. Since that's happened, you've held kind of these Baraboo days, or acts, Baraboo acts. Tell me a little bit about forming that, who spoke, and kind of the community reaction. I know a lot of people were some community members were upset that they were
Yeah.
the forefront of this.
Yeah.
They didn't want to believe that this was
Yeah.
in their community.
Yeah. It's very unfortunate incident that happened that got national attention. So as soon as I saw that video, I approached the administrators and other key decision makers at the school. Since we are Many United Against movement is so new that everybody is not aware of what we do through our organization. So I took this initiative to talk to them and requested a meeting. And so we sat down and they invited, and we had the meeting with the administrators, principal, and talk about those issues. And then I talked about what really needs to be done. And I had several meetings about this idea of inviting Arno and Pardeep. It was a very powerful message of promoting peace, and how these two individuals, where somebody was a former white supremacist, killed this guy, other Arno, killed Pardeep's father, one of those 5 people killed, and then how these 2 guys became the best family friends,
yeah.
are promoting peace through the organization they established called Serve to Unite. That has been a very powerful message, as I have seen when I organize these events at 2 other high schools, Mount Harlow and McFarland. So they agreed that was a very good idea. So we organized that one day that was open to the community. And the next day we have several of those panelists talking about different issues, anti-Semitism, and other activities the whole day that was limited to only students so they can freely actually talk about it. And we have a Holocaust survivors. So it was very much dedicated to the situation that they encountered. But one thing that was very positive as I started talking to the school administration, I was overwhelmed the way they were thinking about. They were really looking at this not as a challenge, but an opportunity, how to deal with this kind of situation and how to develop a plan, not just to organize 1 or 2 events with us, but they actually developed a plan called Community Action Plan to continue moving in that direction. And the response that they were getting from the community was very positive.
What's
it was
the
very
feedback
positive.
Because this is very recent that
yes,
you held this at Baraboo and McFarland
December
as well.
17 and 18, it was very new, but we're getting very positive feedback from the communities who are involved into that. This theater where we organized this event, a lot of people showed up. So obviously in this kind of situation, it would take time before it's completely healed. But I think their commitment is so significant. And that's what I think is important, to take a systematic approach to deal with this so that this thing does not happen in the future. And I think that's where I'm going with this idea of this task force, to start looking at it and make sure we're on the forefront so we don't have to react, rather be more proactive than reactive.
And I guess is the main goal to implement this statewide? I mean,
yeah.
This is something that sounds positive, of course.
Yeah.
Looks good on paper, but with the positive feedback, would you like to implement it in all different types of schools at all levels, K through 12?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would it be kind of like the assembly approach you had, or would it be more of a speaker or something?
No, I think our intent is not just to go and organize an event and walk away, because this organization that is started, we call it as a movement. So step number 1 is we sit down and talk about what we focus on, organize events, but at the same time say, okay, where are we going from here next? Because this is not an event. This is the first step in the process of developing curriculum, developing some other programs. So your community where these schools or college campuses are located are continuously developing these kinds of programs where we will be actively involved promoting it.
All right, we got about 30 seconds, but I read recently you kind of have a New Year's resolution for everyone to hear, for people to all work together and erase hate through education. Is that your goal, or is that your goal for a lot of other people?
Well, this is my really goal, because I believe that the best way to deal with hate is through education. When you are engaged, when you're talking to people who don't look like you, you really succeed. And that's the reason I wrote this article about New Year resolution, because I certainly believe that is quite possible.
All right, we will see. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, you're very
and we will
welcome.
see you guys next week.